Okay. Hello, everybody. Welcome to breakout session number 2. This is a housing breakout session, so I hope you're all in the right place. My name is Chris Rabasco. I'm a planning associate with Michael Baker International. I work in the Allentown office. I actually grew up in South Whitehall Township, so I'm happy to be a part of this process. With me today, I have Matt Assad, Managing Editor, and Jill Seitz, Senior Community Planner from the Valley Planning Commission. In a minute or two, they'll be sharing some slides and great information about housing in the South Whitehall area and Lehigh Valley at large. So we're very lucky to have them with us. But before we do that, we would like to start with a quick live polling session, which at this point I'm sure you're very familiar with. So if you could please go to menti.com once again. Our first starting question will be, what is a word you would use to describe housing in South Whitehall today? Again, I want to remind everyone along with as you join Menti that the chat is open for comments. So if you have anything that you'd like to add to the conversation, it will be documented as a part of this process. And I'll switch over to the word cloud real quick. And you'll see the code appear at the top of the screen for the session, 19610210. And again, the question is, what is a word you would use to describe housing in South Whitehall today? And I'll give everybody a minute or so to put in their input. Give everyone another 30 seconds or so. I think I got the code up a little late, so give everyone some more time. So far, we have diverse, forward-thinking, challenging, and dense. Okay, great. So you can continue to put in any words that you may think of, but we're going to jump ahead to the presentation. And as I go back to that, I'd like to reintroduce Jill Seitz, Senior Community Planner from LVPC. Oh, give me a second here. There we go. Jill, take it away.
Thanks, Chris.
Yeah, sorry.
It's okay. Good evening, everyone. I'm Jill Seitz, Senior Community Planner, and I'm joined this evening by Matt Assad, our Managing Editor at LVPC. So housing is a key component of development and growth because it ties into so many other factors. People choose where to live based on accessibility to schools and jobs, to live in communities or environments that support their desired lifestyles, to be near certain amenities, and so on. The General Land Use Plan of Future LV is the tool we use to determine what types of growth and development make sense in all areas of the region. The plan shows areas recommended for development, farmland preservation, preservation buffer, and exurban. The LVPC uses this plan when reviewing all of the region's proposed development to ensure that areas proposed for development contain the factors needed to support growth, such as sewer and transportation capacity, and pre-existing development of similar scale to that proposal. In preservation buffer areas, retaining open space is usually preferable, but those areas may also have factors present that make them capable of accommodating additional development if it makes sense. South Whitehall Township contains all of these types of areas, and using the General Land Use Plan as a tool with the goals and policies of Future LV help examine the intersections between housing, businesses, transportation, community, and the environment to determine the best ways South Whitehall can plan for a sustainable future. Next slide, please.
A booming economy, beautiful topography, diverse arts and culture activities define a region that is growing in people, jobs, and opportunities. Managing that growth is key as South Whitehall, along with the Valley's other 61 municipalities, strives to build on a regional sense of place that attracts more than 4,000 new residents each year. Directing growth toward existing development and infrastructure will help create dynamic communities while preserving our natural beauty, history, and agricultural lands. Working together as a township and as a region, we can prepare for a future in which lifestyles, technology, and climate are changing. It's really about balance. And we achieve balance by understanding the interrelationships between things. By managing growth and development to enhance South Whitehall Township, you can match development intensity with sustainable infrastructure capacity. You have to ask yourself a few questions. In areas that are seeing new development or redevelopment, can the roadway infrastructure handle the type of traffic generated by the development? Are there adequate utility services available, including broadband internet connectivity or 5G, to meet demands of modern households? Directing growth to where it can be accommodated then relieves development pressure on agricultural and natural lands. And by directing housing growth into existing activity centers, you can increase density of residential and mixed-use development centers. If residents have the ability to live where they work and play, connected with a mix of transportation options, you improve accessibility while easing traffic volumes on the roadways.
Density and infill development are two powerful strategies to preserve township character and open space while adding value to the business districts and neighborhoods where they're used. By adding density to areas that are already developed, it prevents sprawl and eating up open space to accommodate the growth that is inevitable in a township as attractive as South Whitehall. Using existing infrastructure keeps taxpayers from funding new road, sewer, and water projects. Ultimately, adding housing density in key areas helps create a better transportation network. More people living or working in a particular area makes it a better candidate for public transportation investment, further adding value to the district. It also addresses modern-day lifestyle demands in which people increasingly want more walkable neighborhoods. Shopping malls are good places for new mixed-use development because they are centrally located and connected to transportation. Many of these areas are changing as the retail economy evolves, creating new opportunities for growth. These large sites can accommodate a mix of housing, businesses, and public spaces that support investments in bicycle, pedestrian, and transit infrastructure. If used properly and paired with good design, density and infill development can be key tools in adding value to existing assets and protecting the quality of life South Whitehall residents and businesses have come to rely on. Housing is one of the most important factors in determining people's access to educational and employment opportunities, which ultimately drives the success of the economy. This is why the policy developed specifically to address housing throughout the region is located within the economic goal of Future LV. Over 1,800 households in South Whitehall Township are financially burdened by their housing costs, meaning that they pay more than 30% of their income on housing, which is what financial experts recommend to maintain financial stability. So that's nearly 24%. So a quarter of all the township's households, essentially. Between 2019 and 2020, the median sale price of a home in the township jumped by almost $25,000. Home prices had already been increasing in the past 3 years, but only by about $14,000 or $15,000 per year. Median rent prices have increased substantially as well, from a little over $1,100 in 2015 to $1,389 in 2019. So it's important to keep in mind that different areas of the township have different levels of housing prices, and through the comprehensive planning process, we'll find that different areas of the township have different housing needs as well. What makes sense for a more developed area in the township won't be applicable to the more agricultural areas. And that's important to keep in mind as we move on to some of the actions that are included specifically about housing in future LV. Next slide, please. Overall, building more housing benefits everyone in a community because it drives economic growth. More housing enables more people to obtain homes in their price range that suits their living needs while getting access to education and job opportunities. A limited housing stock drives up housing prices, reducing the amount of money households have in their pockets to spend in the economy. So what actions do communities take to facilitate strategically adding housing that benefits all residents? Well, the first thing we recommend is to diversify price points and types of available housing. A lot of that diversification is happening already. We've been seeing growing diversification of housing proposals regionally over the last few years. And developers are already seeing enough market demand that they want to build a variety of home types. In 2020, South Whitehall had 944 new housing units proposed. About half were apartments at 468 units, 69 were row homes, 220 were twins, and 187 were single-family detached units. South Whitehall had a little over 18% of the region's new housing units proposed or approved in 2020. However, whether or not the price diversification is happening is another story. In 2020, South Whitehall had 3 housing types sell. They were single-family detached, single-family attached, and multifamily units. And the median price between each of those was only about a $10,000 difference. So not a lot of price diversity in what was sold. And that doesn't really leave a lot of options for middle and lower income families without putting themselves under a constrained financial situation. And this ties into our next action, which is to create a local balance between housing and jobs. What are the incomes of jobs in the area? And is the township's housing suitable to meet those needs? Expanding housing options near employment areas also helps increase access to jobs while easing traffic on the roadway. Next slide.
Granny flats and cottage houses are an efficient way to increase density, diversity, and affordability in suburban areas. Expanding housing options is critically important to attracting younger adults who generally cannot afford large suburban homes, and it makes it easier for older adults looking to downsize to stay in the community. Such multi-generational communities have longer and healthier lives and support investments in parks, trails, and green infrastructure that improve quality of life. Over 80% of people surveyed by the LVPC said that housing supply, attainability, and variety are a priority in the next 10 years.
All of the policies and actions within Future LV at the larger regional, level directly impact a community's livability at the smallest neighborhood level. The Lehigh Valley's identity begins and ends with quality of life. It rests in safe, walkable neighborhoods where housing is attainable and public space is designed for everyone. We'll get there through targeted investments, innovative community design, and the integration of housing, jobs, and transportation that everyone can use. In the case of housing, it's cultivating neighborhoods with a sense of place that connects to the environment and active recreation, schools and businesses with sidewalks and various transportation modes. Next slide. And I would like to end here on one of my favorite inspirational images from Future LV. This is Walbert Avenue, but not the way it looks today. However, this is the way it could look by applying the right planning principles. We borrowed this area from you all because we recognized how important a vision that the township was setting for not only its transportation system, but how integrating housing with other opportunities such as shopping, education, and jobs can make the township more sustainable, resilient, beautiful, and livable. What this shows us is the important intersection housing plays between other community priorities, including transportation, open space preservation, and the economy. The balance of these things is critical to the township's success and also our region's. The power of the comprehensive plan is that it captures the value and vision of the community and helps them develop policies and actions around them. The comprehensive plan is the playbook that led to ordinance and map changes and programmatic growth that support implementation as well. So thank you everyone for sitting through our presentation. We hope that it will encourage you to join in on the housing working group that is going to happen in April. And for more information, you can go to the South Whitehall Township Comprehensive Plan website. And I believe we're going to close with an activity.
Thanks again, Matt and Jill, for your time and expertise. And we're going to head back over to Menti again. So I'll pull the code back up. So this question will be, what is a word you would use to describe housing in South Whitehall over the next 10 years? You can put in up to 3 words. And as you do that, I'm going to repost the meeting links in the chat so that everybody can then head over to their next breakout session 3. So all the links should be there for everybody. And as you guys put in your words, just again, thanks for joining us, and hope everyone has a great night, and we'll see you all back in the main session later on. Thank you. Great, thanks everybody again.